question here. Can you name the most evil person in history? Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, Idi Amin. You might have probably mentioned one of those names, but those answers are wrong. Not because they weren't evil, they were deeply unforgivably evil. But there was a man, a European king, who owned a country, stole a country the size of Western Europe. He worked the people to death forever. He owned a country as his personal possession. And when he died rich, celebrated, and completely unpunished. His statues are still in Belgium till today. His name is King Leopold II of Belgium. And this is the story most people were never told. To understand how Leopold got away with the things he did, you need to understand who he actually was. And he was this guy that was good at looking like the good guy. I'll explain. In the 1800s, Europe was in a feeding frenzy over Africa. Every major power was trying to have as much claim over an African land as possible. We're talking of Britain, France, Germany, Portugal. And Belgium wants in too. But then, Belgium is a small country. And it realized that it couldn't compete with these big powers militarily. So, it developed its own strategy. What did he do? He faked a charity. He called it the International Association of Exploration and Civilization of the Congo. Sounds impressive, right? He told the world he wanted to bring civilization to Africa. He wanted to end the Arab slave trade. He wanted to build schools, hospitals, roads. He just wanted to help the Congo. He fundraised, he gave speeches. He convinced the United States to acknowledge its claim to the throne before every other European power did. I mean, he wanted to help, right? So at the Berlin Conference of 1885, where European powers literally sat on a table, around the table, and divided Africa, King Leopold of Belgium walked out with the Congo River Basin, a country 76 times the size of Belgium. And no, he didn't get it as a Belgian colony. He got it as his personal private property. Imagine one man owning an entire country as his personal possession. And guess what? The world applauded him for it. And then when the papers were signed, his mask came off. Leopold was never interested in investing in the Congo or improving their lifestyle. He had only one mission: money. And at first it was ivory. Yeah, the Congo had lots of it. But then in the 1890s, something changed in the world with the invention of the bicycle and eventually the car. The world needed rubber, which Congo had lots of it. Congo was literally sitting on a fortune. Leopold wanted every drop of it. Now here is how his system worked. Every village in Congo was given a quota, a specific amount of rubber that was expected to be harvested and supplied to him at the end of every month. Now, if you met the quota, you were left alone. But if you didn't, there were consequences because Leopold built an army. This army, he called it the Force Publique. And these were like tens of thousands of soldiers in this army. They usually go into the jungle with one instruction: make sure the rubber comes out. To keep his soldiers motivated and to ensure that they weren't wasting ammunition, Leopold introduced the policy. This policy was, for every shot that was fired by a soldier, they had to return with a proof that the bullet wasn't wasted. And what was this proof? A human hand. Yes, you heard me. Baskets of severed hands kind of became a currency in the Congo Free State. Soldiers who collected enough hands were rewarded, and those who didn't got punished. At a point, everybody's hands was being chopped off. Rebels, those that didn't meet their quota, women, even children. Sometimes they cut off the hand without killing the person, just to save the bullet. Just taking the hand. Now, the disgusting part of the whole thing was, it was not hidden. People knew. Missionaries reported it. Journalists wrote about it. There were photographs everywhere, in real life, in black and white. And nothing was done. One of the most famous photographs in this era was about a man named Nsala. He was sitting in his veranda looking at something on the floor. And what was on the floor? A foot and a hand. It belonged to his 5-year-old daughter, and the soldiers had killed her because Nsala didn't meet his quota for that month. These pictures were published in Europe, in America, and for a very long time nothing happened. And then a British shipping clerk named Edmund Murrell noticed something when he was organizing the shipping records. He noticed that the ships that were coming out from the Congo were filled with rubbers and ivory, but the ships that were going back into the Congo were filled with guns and ammunitions. No food, no payments, no trade exchange, just weapons. Mora realized the truth. This wasn't trade, this was slave labor. A country was being worked to death for its natural resources, and the only thing going back in was the tools to keep them working. Morales quit his job and then spent the next decade of his life trying to expose what Leopold was doing in the Congo. He was able to found allies like Otto Conan Doyle, the man who created the Sherlock Holmes, and went ahead to write a book called The Crime of the Congo. In 1908, the international pressure became too much. The Belgian parliament stepped in and pressured Leopold to hand over the Congo colony. And he did. But he was paid for it. 50 million francs to hand over his personal colony, a region that had worked itself to death. The same colony he used to murder millions of people. And what did he do with the money? He built more parks, more gardens, more monuments to himself across Belgium. Eventually, he died in 1909, exactly 1 year after he was forced to give up the Congo. He was 74 years old. He died in his palace, in his bed, surrounded with wealth built on the bones of millions of people from Congo. He was never arrested, never charged, never stood trial in any courtroom. He never saw the four walls of a cell. Today, 2026, right now, the statues of King Leopold of Belgium are still everywhere in Belgium. Even in front of government buildings, parks are named after him, streets are named after him. The architecture and the buildings that he built with Congo's blood money are celebrated as landmarks now. In 2010, a former foreign minister of Belgium publicly called him a hero. During the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests, a lot of persons, Belgians, took to the streets to vandalize the statues of King Leopold II of Belgium. Red paint everywhere, some were set on fire. In 2020, the current king of Belgium, King Philippe, wrote a letter expressing what he called his deepest regrets about colonial rule. Not an apology, deepest regrets. Here's what I want you to think about. We live in a world where monsters are celebrated and remembered forever. Their stories are in every history book. Their crimes are studied in schools. Films are made about them. Museums are dedicated to ensuring they are not forgotten. And then there's King Leopold II of Belgium, a man responsible for one of the largest death tolls in human history. The Congo that he looted is now called the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it still remains one of the poorest countries in the world, sitting on a fortune of $24 trillion of natural resources. The wealth Leopold extracted from the Congo built some of Belgium's most beautiful parks, palaces, and buildings. Tourists visit them every day, taking pictures, not knowing what paid for them. Sometimes the world does not punish the guilty, it builds them statues. And sometimes the least we can do is say their names out loud so that the world knows. King Leopold II of Belgium. Remember it. And now, if this story made you angry, it should. That's the essence. Now, if you're connected to this story, don't forget to like, comment, and follow this channel because I break down war stories in the way that it's put without confusion. I'm Miriama. Bye.